Hey guys, it's Robert from East Coast Sawing. On to the next part of the shop build. I don't have any video up until this point from finishing the roof. Or actually, I think I was putting the cleats in last. Yes, I was putting the insulation cleats in last. So I don't have any video beyond that point, as it was pretty difficult to do what I was working on. So, a bit of a recap here. So, in the last video, I was talking about putting cleats in for the foam board insulation in the ceiling. I had to scrap excess 3.5 inch ISO insulation, polyiso. For anybody not aware, that stuff is typically used for flat roofs. You lay it down, your bottom layer insulation, top layer, and then all your sheets of roll roofing. So I was given a bunch of it a couple years ago, so I wanted to put that in the ceiling to account for a bit more thickness. And polyiso is R6 per inch. This is 3.5 inches, so it gives me an equivalent of R21 in the same thickness as R12. So 80 to 90% of my roof is going to be R33 by the time I'm done, which means a very low amount of heat loss through the roof. It's not perfect. It's also a shop, but it was free, and that was the big thing. So today I'm going to be laying out some of the fiberglass insulation that's going on the walls. So in this case, you could probably, I don't know if the camera can really pick it up, but the two end walls are done on 16-inch centers. When I designed and built the two side walls, at the time I thought I was buying all brand new insulation. I was just going to go with 23-inch wide bats for 24 on center spacing. I had managed to find a local renovation project that was selling off a bunch of 15-inch wide R12 bats. And that's some of what you see in front of me here. So with the case of the two end walls, I did them as 16 on centers to compensate for that. And then this wall is going to be done. What am I trying to say here? This one's going to be done with the 15-inch wide bats as well, but I'll cut them 23 inches long and run them lengthwise in the base to fill it up. Actually, I cut the bottom side to compensate for that. Again, this was when the wall was first built, so I didn't have the ideal measurements. So I'm going to do a quick pan of the shop to show you some of the stuff that's been done since the last video. So up on the ceiling, you can see the polyiso foam insulation. And you can also see the lights wiring up there. So the shop's going to have a total of 6 lights. They're going to be 7.5 watt LEDs to start. If I find I need more lighting in here, I can either duplex the sockets, put a splitter on it, and that will double me from 6 to 12. Or I can put in LED saucer lights, which are 24 watts, so I'll be tripling the light on each pod. I'm undecided yet. For now, I'm just running 2 100-watt incandescents off an extension cord. That's this one right here and that one right there. That's what that cord hanging down. That's what that cord hanging down is the cord running between the two, and it's just plugged into an outlet. I've also gotten most of the wall wiring done. So that's what you're seeing here, the red wire. So as with a lot of the shop builds so far, other than the new stuff, I've tried to scramble and find things that are used. So like the insulation, as I told you, was sold at cost from a reseller. I think it was $80 for 4 bundles equivalent. So 1 was in bags, 3 are unopened. So that's like $250 value. So with the plug wiring, I used a lot of existing wire I had. So in the case of this, it's 12 gauge heater core wire. We had a length of that. So I'm using the red wire as your neutral, and of course black as black. So the plug, the panel's in the corner just on the right there. So I got 2 circuits branched off. I got one circuit's going to run 2 plugs on the back wall for my stationary tools, sanders, scroll saw, small stuff. So there'll be a duplex box right there and a duplex box right there. So 8 outlets total. And then that same circuit runs over here to where the circular saw is hanging. You can just see an outlet box there. That's going to be for my jointer, because my jointer is going on that wall. So along the long wall here, I got 2 outlets. This one right here is my table saw outlet. It'll also be tied into the other tools. So hand sander mostly, router. And then that one up there at the end, which is right there, is on this same circuit. That's going to be for the lathe. That's it for outlets in the shop. I don't need a ton of outlets in the shop. Like, I don't need it on every single wall. There's none on the back wall. There's none beyond the 2 that are for the table saw and the jointer. But I had to get all that done before I insulated the shop. This green wire running right here is running to an outlet, and it was running the lights for about a week. The lighting circuit is completely separate. It's brought in from a separate feed off of the power source. It's on the opposite 120 phase from the rest of it. And just behind all that wood is an outlet off that, and its sole purpose is to run the Chinese diesel heater I'm using. Again, to keep it off the heavy draw of the tools. So we'll get to insulating the shop. I'm just going to open up the bags of insulation on the floor, and we'll start laying it into the stud bays, and just show you how I insulate a shop. Again, not necessarily a tutorial, but there isn't too many ways to insulate. So the insulation that I've got in the 15-inch bats is a mix of orange coning, your Pink Panther brand, and what's this stuff called? It's not orange coning, the white. It's John's Manville. Really doesn't matter what kind of insulation you use, as long as you use it. So, this looks like a piece that's been ripped in half because it's awfully thin looking compared to the rest. I'll have to set this aside. This is my first time opening the bag of bats since I got them. I was told this insulation was not used. It was just opened and they realized they had too much. So this stuff will kind of, even in the commercially bagged stuff, you kind of want to let it fluff up for a few minutes after it's been opened. Which is what I'm going to do here. That just seems like it's been torn in half thickness-wise compared to these ones. So before I start insulating, a little word on safety. You probably noticed I'm wearing a face mask right from the beginning. Fiberglass is an irritant. It's not necessarily dangerous for you, but it is very irritating on the skin, lungs, eyes. So you can see my hood is covering most of my head. I'm going to zip it up now and tighten it a little bit. Ideally, you want to be wearing something like a Tyvek suit, but I'm for the most part fully covered here. It's also not very warm out today. I think it's only going to 7 degrees. Face mask for breathing, and ideally cotton gloves. Oh, I got 2 pairs here. So for me, when I start my insulation, I like to do from the bottom up. Some guys like to do from the top down. That's all there is to it. Just kind of tuck it into place and move on. So I'll do the whole bottom row of this, which will line up perfectly with my wire line, as you can see. So because I don't have the duplex box for this point and the other one, I'm just going to pull the wires off to the side. They'll come out and kind of, not necessarily be in the way, but they'll be kind of there. But it allows me to work around them. So you just kind of tuck it in like that. Now just move that back out of this way. You don't want to over compress your insulation. It'll lose its effectiveness. So insulation comes in 47-inch long bats. So I'm just going to measure where 47 still gets me full sheets. I know I have to cut down here, but I want to see what these, where I start having to use still full bats. So this one and on. Okay. Because that way you can move a little quicker if you're not constantly trimming bats of insulation. So I'll come back and make some trim pieces for up there. Again, wire kind of sticking out, so just make sure it's pushed over out of your way. And just like make sure you got it tucked. For cutting fiberglass insulation, nice sharp utility knife. Okay. So you can see, guys, goes pretty quick and easy. One thing to note if you wear glasses, careful how you got your face mask on because you will steam up and you won't see crap. So I'm just gonna continue on this wall. Like I said, I have to cut everything down to 23 inches long, 22 and a half really. And that'll use up everything I have here, plus the the full bundles. Note about cutting open your fiberglass when you got a full bundle like this. When you want to cut open your bundle, always go for the side, because then you're only cutting into the sides of your pile. If you cut down the center, just makes a mess of everything. So I'll put this right here. These go. There. Just let her fluff up and away you go. So this part will be sped up. So as you can see, guys, fiberglass is pretty quick and easy to install. I mean, just make sure you tuck it in such a way that it's actually effective. I still have to fill in this top section here. It'll only take me a few minutes with some 4-inch offcuts. So this is the end of this part. I'll come back to you when I start doing the vapor barrier. So comment if you like, tell me if you don't. Hit that subscribe button to see more videos. Thanks, bye.